The stars were quiet that night. Captain Ryla of the Vorn scout vessel Alaris stared at the empty radar screen. They were deep beyond the mapped sectors, searching for lost freighters and forgotten signals. It was supposed to be a routine patrol, through the edge of the void, cold, silent, and predictable. But something was wrong tonight. The silence felt heavy. The stars seemed different. Then a faint beep broke through the static. "Captain," said her sensor officer, "I'm detecting a distress signal. Very weak. Old Terran code. At least 200 years old." Ryla's foreheart skipped a beat. "Terran? That's impossible. Humanity vanished long ago." The officer nodded nervously. "Yes, Captain, but the signal is there. A single beacon, drifting in Sector 19 Delta." She hesitated. Every instinct told her to leave it. No one sane went near Terran relics. The old stories were clear. Where humans go, silence follows. Yet curiosity won. She was a captain of exploration. "Set course," she ordered. "Let's see what ghost we've found." The Alaris glided silently through the broken rocks of a dead asteroid field. The beacon grew stronger. Finally, their floodlights caught something. A shattered escape pod, half melted from re-entry. The hull markings were strange but clear. Terra Union, Commander Class. Inside was a man. He was human, frozen in stasis, pale as ash, his face calm, as if merely sleeping. His body armor was scarred, old, yet still pulsing with faint blue lights. They brought him aboard, their medics scanning in awe. His heart still beat, slow but steady. "Captain," whispered the doctor. "He's alive." The crew exchanged nervous looks. None had ever seen a real human before. To them, humanity was myth, destroyers of worlds, conquerors who vanished after their final war. Some called them monsters, others called them gods. And now, one lay breathing in their medbay. Ryla watched through the glass. "Wake him," she said. It took hours, but finally the man opened his eyes. Cold, sharp, gray eyes. Eyes that didn't belong to someone lost. They belonged to someone who had seen too much. He sat up slowly, scanning the room, every movement precise. "You're not Terran," he said, his voice deep, steady. "Who revived me?" Ryla stepped forward. "I am Captain Ryla of the Vorn Republic. We found your pod drifting in the void. You were near death. We saved you." He looked at her for a long time, as if studying her soul. Then in a quiet voice he said, "You shouldn't have done that." The room fell silent. "What do you mean?" Ryla asked. "You were dying." His lips twitched. Not a smile, not anger. Something between both. "Some things are better left dead, Captain." Over the next few days he spoke little. The crew called him the Stranger. He told them his name was Commander Rice Varan of the Terran Defense Command. But when they asked what happened to his people, he only said, "We slept." He spent hours staring at the stars through the observation deck, cold eyes lost in thought. Sometimes he whispered things no one understood. We warned them. They never listened. The void remembers everything. Even mercy has a cost. Ryla began to worry. Systems started to fail one by one. Navigation flickers, power surges, interference from unknown sources. The crew grew restless. "He's cursed," one said. "Terrans bring death." Ryla ignored them, but deep inside, even she felt uneasy. There was something unnatural about the silence outside, something watching them. One night, alarms blared across the ship. "Multiple signatures approaching fast," shouted the sensor officer. "How many?" Ryla demanded. "Dozens, no, hundreds. They're coming out of subspace." The ship shook as a wave of distortion rippled through the void. Then, through the glass, Ryla saw it, black shapes sliding out of the dark. Gigantic warships, sleek and silent, their engines burning with cold blue light. They moved with terrifying precision. No insignias, no beacons, only one mark on their hulls. the Terran crest. Her breath caught. That can't be. Humanity's fleet was destroyed centuries ago. Rice Varen stood beside her now, calm and motionless, eyes fixed on the oncoming armada. He didn't look surprised. He looked home. You see, he said softly. We were never gone. We just waited. Ryla's voice trembled. Waited for what? His reply was quiet, almost a whisper. For the ones who would find me. Then the comms crackled to life. A cold mechanical voice echoed through the bridge. Unknown vessel, this is Terran Command. You are harboring restricted biological property. Power down your systems and prepare for reclamation. Ryla's crew froze. What do they mean by property? Rice didn't answer. He only looked at her with those gray eyes and said, You should have left me in the dark. The Terran ships surrounded them like predators. Beams of light scanned across the Alaris, cutting through the hull, mapping every inch. The crew's panic turned to silence when a massive shadow fell over them. The flagship. Its cannons glowed faintly like an approaching sunrise. Ryla tried to send a signal. This is Captain Ryla of the Vorn Republic. We come in peace. We rescued one of your kind. No reply. Rice turned away from the window, voice calm and final. They don't answer peace, Captain. They answer memory. The flagship's main cannon charged, a deep red glow building in its core. The stars around them seemed to fade, swallowed by the light. And in that final moment before the blast, Ryla understood what the stories meant. When the Terran guns fire, silence follows. The Alaris floated in absolute silence, surrounded by giants. The Terran fleet stretched across the void like a black ocean, endless, cold, perfect. Each ship moved with purpose, no wasted motion, no radio chatter. Their formation was flawless, like a machine breathing in rhythm. Even the light of nearby stars seemed afraid to touch them. Captain Ryla stood frozen on the bridge. Her crew whispered in disbelief. By the moons, there must be hundreds of them. Another voice, shaking, said, No, thousands. They had appeared without sound or warning, just slipped out of the dark as if the void itself obeyed them. The lead ship dwarfed every vessel in Ryla's Republic Navy. Its hull shimmered with red-black plating, ancient scars glowing faintly beneath layers of armor. On its side, a single phrase burned in silver letters, Terran Dominion, Nemesis. It wasn't a name. It was a warning. Commander Rice Varen, said Ryla quietly, turning toward the man who stood at the viewport motionless. You need to tell me what this is. Who are they? Why are they here? Rice didn't answer. His gaze stayed fixed on the colossal warship outside. His face was calm, but his hands were clenched. They're here because of me, he said softly. And because of you. What do you mean? You woke me, he said. And the Dominion never leaves their own behind. Before she could respond, the comm screen flickered to life. A voice, mechanical, calm, and absolutely devoid of emotion, filled the bridge. Unregistered vessel, you are in possession of Terran military property. Power down your systems and prepare for boarding. Non-compliance will result in immediate reclamation. Ryla felt her throat tighten. This is Captain Ryla of the Vorn Republic. We rescued a lost human life form. We mean no harm. The voice replied instantly, Your intention is irrelevant. You have interfered with a Terran operation. Compliance is mandatory. The comms cut. For a moment, no one spoke. The bridge crew stared at Ryla, waiting for orders that would not save them. Then the lights dimmed. Power drained across the ship. Their shields dropped, engines died, and every system flickered out. They hadn't even fired. The Terrans had shut them down remotely. Captain, the engineer shouted. Our control cores, they're overridden. I can't. The screen went black. Rice turned to her slowly. You're not dealing with a fleet, Captain. You're standing before a civilization that learned to control the laws of war. Outside, the Nemesis began to move. Massive panels on its side opened like wings unfolding, revealing rows of sleek drones, small, dark, and silent. They swarmed out like shadows, moving between the alien ship and the Terran armada. Each one emitted a faint hum, scanning, recording, observing. They're not attacking, Ryla whispered. They're judging, Rice said. They always judge first. The Terran drones surrounded the Alaris. Their lights pulsed once, blue then red. Then, suddenly, all of them stopped moving. Inside the bridge, the air turned cold. Every console flickered back to life, and a new voice, human, deep and calm, spoke through the main screen. "This is Admiral Kieran Holt of the Terran Dominion. Identify yourself." Ryla stepped forward, forcing her voice to remain steady. "Captain Ryla of the Vorn Republic. We found one of your people in distress and saved him. We meant no offense." There was silence for a long moment. The galaxy hadn't seen silence like this in 1,000 years. One day the stars burned bright. The next, systems went dark. Communication relays stopped transmitting. Trade routes vanished into static. And across every surviving channel one symbol appeared, a black sun with silver wings, the emblem of the Terran Dominion. In the capital world of the Vorn Republic, panic spread faster than light. Every government, every military council tried to understand what had returned from the void. Most didn't believe it at first until they received the message. A holographic transmission looping endlessly, impossible to block or trace. It began with static, then a calm human voice. "To the civilizations of the Orion Arm, we are the Terran Dominion. We do not seek conquest. We do not ask for tribute. We ask only for remembrance." Then came images. Burning stars, fallen cities, battles fought long before any current species had reached the stars. The message ended with 6 words that sent shivers through every world that heard it. "Mercy once shown will not be forgotten." And then it cut to silence. On the Vorn homeworld, Captain Ryla stood in the council chamber, facing a storm of questions. "You brought this upon us," one senator shouted. "You awakened a human. They would have never found us if not for you." Another pounded the table. "Where is he now? The human you rescued? This Rice Varen?" Ryla's voice was tired but steady. "Gone, he saved us once more. But it cost him. He vanished when the Terrans fired. The chamber filled with noise again, anger, fear, panic. But no plan, no courage." Ryla looked at them all and realized they had no idea what kind of enemy humanity truly was. Far beyond the Vorn systems, in the deep black between stars, the Terran Dominion fleet moved. Thousands of ships, each silent, each driven by a singular will. Inside the command bridge of the Nemesis, Admiral Kieran Holt watched the holographic map. Hundreds of red dots pulsed, alien colonies, military outposts, trade hubs, targets. "Begin the reclamation protocol," Holt ordered. A technician replied, "Admiral, the Rice directive. Do we activate it?" Holt's expression didn't change. Yes, he earned that right. His judgment stands. At his words, the fleet split into divisions, disciplined, emotionless, unstoppable. They didn't announce wars. They didn't issue demands. Wherever the Terrans arrived, there was no resistance, only erasure. On the edge of the Tora system, an alien mining colony detected the first Dominion fleet. Their defense commander tried to open communication. "Unknown fleet, identify yourselves." No response. Seconds later, their sky filled with light. Orbital cannons fired once. The entire colony, every city, every ship, every signal turned to glass. A second message followed immediately after the strike. "This world once hunted a human refugee. Judgment complete. Terra remembers." That phrase, "Terra remembers," echoed through every network, every frequency. By the next cycle, 27 worlds had fallen, and not once had a single Terran soldier landed. They fought like ghosts, perfect, ruthless, and silent. Ryla watched the reports come in, helpless. Whole sectors collapsing, alliances begging for help, and no one daring to fight back. The Dominion didn't ask for surrender. They didn't negotiate. They simply erased one system at a time. One night, unable to bear it, Ryla accessed the last signal she'd received from Rice Varen, a small data fragment her ship's AI had saved before his disappearance. It was just his voice, calm, heavy, and human. "Captain, if you're hearing this, then the Dominion has awakened. Don't blame yourself. You did what was right, and that's what they fear most. For every act of mercy, there's a memory. For every forgotten promise, there's a reckoning. They call it vengeance. We call it history, then silence." She listened to it again and again. Each time she understood a little more. The Terrans weren't here for conquest. They were here for balance. To them, history wasn't written in words. It was written in the ashes of those who had wronged them. Weeks passed. Across the galaxy, rumors spread faster than ships. Some said the Dominion's fleet came from the void beyond the rim. Others said humanity had never vanished. They had simply hidden, watching, waiting, evolving. And now they had returned to finish the stories others had begun. In hidden corners, alien scholars spoke in whispers. If the Terrans remember everything, what else have they not yet avenged? Meanwhile, deep within the command core of the Nemesis, Admiral Holt stared at a single stasis chamber. Inside it, suspended in pale blue light, floated the body of Rice Varan. Still alive, still breathing. Monitored by machines that hummed quietly, a young officer approached. "Admiral, his vitals remain stable. Should we wake him?" Holt shook his head slowly. "No, not yet. He's more powerful asleep than awake. His memory is our compass." He turned away from the chamber and looked out at the stars, stars that flickered dimmer now, fewer than before. "They called us myths," he whispered. "They forgot our kindness. Now they will remember our silence." Far away, in a quiet system spared from the attacks, a small child stared at the night sky and asked her father, "Papa, why do the stars keep disappearing?" The father didn't answer. He looked up, and for a moment thought he saw something move between the stars. A massive shape, dark and shining, like a god passing by unseen. He whispered a prayer to any power that might listen, because when the Terran guns fired, silence always followed. The war did not begin with an announcement. It began with silence. Across the galactic rim, stars went dark one by one. Whole systems vanished from navigation charts overnight. Merchant vessels that strayed too far never returned. No transmissions, no distress calls, only fragments of static, and the faint echo of a human voice repeating, "Terra remembers. The galaxy tried to fight back." The Vorn Republic, the Draxian Combine, even the ancient Council of 12, all united for the first time in centuries. Their fleets filled the void with light, proud and defiant. But the Terran Dominion did not come to negotiate. They came to end a story. On the edge of the Helene sector, the Allied Armada waited. 10,000 ships, their engines glowing like a wall of fire. Admiral Sith of the Draxians stood on her flagship bridge, staring into the black. "We hold this line," she said. "They will see our strength." Moments later, their sensors went blind. Every ship's radar turned to snow. Every engine flickered. The void itself seemed to warp. Then through the darkness, the Dominion appeared, not with thunder, with precision. Thousands of black Terran warships slid out of subspace in perfect formation. Their hulls shimmered with red heat, reflections of unseen energy. And above them, leading the formation, came the Nemesis. Scythe's second officer whispered, "Their formation. It's flawless." Sith forced her voice steady. "All ships and open fire." The Allied fleet unleashed everything. Plasma cannons, railguns, fusion torpedoes, enough firepower to tear moons apart. For a brief moment, the void burned bright. Then the light vanished. When the glare cleared, not a single Terran ship was damaged. Their shields absorbed it all, bending light like water. The Dominion replied with a single volley. Red beams lanced across space, were precise, surgical, devastating. Entire battle groups vanished in silence. Admiral Sith's last words before her ship was consumed were whispered into her recorder. "They fight like memory itself. Perfect, cold, and unstoppable." Within days, the Halen sector was gone. The Dominion advanced like a living storm, never fast, never reckless, but inevitable. Their motto appeared on every burned world, etched into ash and stone. "We do not conquer. We correct." In the Vorn capital, Captain Ryla watched the reports in horror. Each new broadcast showed a different star system reduced to silence. She had begged the Republic to surrender, to make contact, but the Council refused. "They're only human," the senators said. "No single species can control the galaxy." Ryla looked at the holographic map, half the outer rim already red with Terran sigils. "They're not human as we remember them," she said quietly. "There's something more now." She knew this wasn't just war. It was reckoning. Far away, deep within the command core of the Nemesis, Admiral Holt stood before the stasis chamber of Rice Varan once again. The man who started it all still slept, body suspended in glowing light. Machines whispered around him, keeping him alive, or perhaps keeping him contained. His mind, said the ship's AI, is still active, dreaming. Of what? Holt asked. "Of the past, the AI replied. Of mercy and betrayal. Holt looked out at the stars. Then he dreams of why we fight. He opened a log, transmitting to every Terran vessel. We do not destroy for vengeance. We cleanse what time has poisoned. Where once we were hunted, we now judge. The Dominion stands not as conquerors, but as memory made flesh. The message spread like wildfire. It was not propaganda. It was scripture. On distant worlds, the sight of a Terran fleet became an omen. Some tried to flee. Others surrendered without a fight. The Dominion would arrive, scan, judge, and either spare or erase. Their decisions were cold, mathematical, absolute. A planet that once betrayed humanity, gone. A colony that once sheltered human refugees and spared. Every decision tied to an old record, a forgotten action. A data fragment from centuries past. The galaxy began to understand. Humanity had never vanished. They had been watching, cataloging, remembering, every kindness. Every cruelty. Now the account was due. One evening, aboard a hidden station in the Terran Nebula, Ryla received an encrypted signal. It was faint, ancient, human. She played it. Static filled the room. Then a voice she knew too well. Captain Ryla, this is Rice Varen. If this reaches you, then I am no longer in command. The Dominion was born from survival, not hate. But survival twisted us. The more we remembered, the less we forgave. Tell your people, mercy still matters. Because once it's gone, so is everything that makes us human. The signal ended abruptly, overwritten by a new transmission. The Dominion's broadcast overriding his words. Do not fear humanity, fear what made us necessary. Ryla stared at the silent screen. Her hands trembled. She understood then this wasn't just humanity's war. It was a warning to everyone who would ever forget compassion. In the final hours of that cycle, as Dominion fleets surrounded another cluster of alien worlds, a single beacon lit up the void, the Vorn capital's distress call. The Dominion had come. Ryla stood on her bridge watching as the black silhouettes of Terran ships filled her sky. There was no running now, no pleading. She closed her eyes and whispered, if this is how it ends, let them remember we tried to save one of them. The Nemesis descended. Its main cannon glowed red, brighter and brighter, until even the sun seemed dim. And then, from deep within the ship, a pulse of energy stopped the firing sequence. Holt turned. The stasis chamber was empty. Race Varen was gone. For the first time in centuries, the flagship Nemesis went silent. No orders, no signals, no sound. Only one alarm echoed through its metallic halls and a voice repeating, containment breach. Subject Varen missing. Admiral Holt stormed into the control deck, eyes cold as steel. Search every level, he barked. If he's awake, we may have already lost control. The AI replied in its calm mechanical tone. Rice Varen has left the chamber. Tracking signal unstable. His neural command codes remain active. That last line chilled even Holt. Command codes? The Dominion's original architecture was built around Varen's mind. He wasn't just a soldier. He was the seed from which the Dominion was born. Meanwhile, deep inside the maintenance decks, Rice Varen moved like a shadow. His body trembled from years of stasis, but his purpose was sharp as ever. He remembered everything. The crash, the rescue, the fleet's awakening, the cleansing that followed. He remembered mercy, and he remembered how humanity had twisted it into control. Every door he passed scanned his genetic code and opened instantly. The Dominion systems still recognized him as their architect. He reached a comms terminal and accessed the Galactic broadcast channel. His voice, quiet but clear, echoed through the stars once again. This is Rice Varen. To every world still alive. I was one of you once, a man, a soldier, a human. But I see now what we've become. Humanity remembers every wrong, but we have forgotten why mercy matters. To those who still hear me, don't fight the Dominion. Remember what made you more than machines. The signal spread fast, to 1,000 listening ears, human and alien alike. Some thought it was a trick, others a miracle. On the Vorn capital, Captain Ryla stood among the ruins of her command center, exhausted and burned. She had lost her world. Cities turned to dust, oceans boiled into steam. When she heard his voice again, faint through the static, her heart froze. Rice, she whispered. You're alive. Her communications officer looked up. Captain, he's broadcasting on open frequency. The Dominion fleet is hearing it too. She hesitated, then replied, "Patch me in." The galaxy heard the voice of the alien who once saved a human. "Commander Varen, this is Captain Ryla of the Vorn Republic. You once told me mercy costs everything. Then let me pay it. End this war, please." Her words crossed light years, and in the Nemesis Bridge, Rice closed his eyes. He remembered her face, the captain who risked her life to save a stranger drifting in the void. The first spark of compassion the Dominion had erased from its heart. Alarms blared again. Admiral Holt appeared on every Dominion ship's holoscreen. "All units terminate rogue command signal. Subject Varen has compromised broadcast security. Prepare for full purge," but the AI hesitated. "Primary directive conflict detected. Varen's command protocols override yours, Admiral." "Override manually," Holt shouted. "Negative," the AI replied. Rice Varen is still recognized as founder of the Dominion. Course the fleet froze mid-formation and a million. Warships locked between two voices, vengeance and mercy. Rice stood at the central command console, hand hovering over the Dominion core, the digital heart that controlled every Terran ship, every drone, every weapon. If he shut it down, the war would end. If he failed, the galaxy would burn completely. "Rice," Holt's voice thundered through the speakers. "You built this. You made us remember so we'd never be weak again," Rice whispered. "I built us to survive, not to forget who we were." Holt appeared in person, walking through the smoke-filled corridor. His uniform shimmered with silver light, his face twisted with fury. "You think mercy will rebuild us? You think compassion saved us from extinction?" he spat. "It was fear that kept us alive. Fear of what they did to us." Rice stared at him, two sides of the same human legacy facing each other across the bridge. "Fear made us forget what made us human," Rice said softly. "And now it's killing everything else." Outside, the fleets hovered, waiting.